Hey, Asha cousin. So today is Sunday, the day of family and fellowship, and I'm just getting back from spending time with my parents. And a thought just kind of ran across my mind. And while I was sitting there with my father, he's sitting in a big recliner seat, I'm thinking, I am so blessed to have the father that I have. Now, don't get me wrong, both my parents in their 20s, especially my daddy, even his early 30s, they were out there. They used to run the street. My father in Atlanta had a well-known name. Even when I go around the streets and I meet some of the old heads, they all, oh, you so and so daughter, and they tell me all the stories. My father had type of reputation that people was out after him. Okay, I'm just being honest. So, but then as he, started having girls, um, all that kind of dwindled away because now his focus was on his wife and his children. So my parents have been living in the same house since I was a teenager. So, and in a community, for the most part, in a little suburban area, a lot of people tend to stay and everybody pretty much know everybody. My father can walk into a store and people know his name. They'll be trying to give him stuff for free. I remember I got into an accident over there. I was so shaken that I called my father on the phone. He came to the accident site and I got out of getting a ticket because of my father and his reputation. My father and mother did a lot of mess in their youth, but somehow they figured out how to be parents. And not only this, even my parents' house have been like a revolving door. Even my friends and my sister friends who are in their 30s and their 40s are able to come in and out my parents' house. They'll stay over at my parents' house. They call them mom and dad. If we can't do something for my parents, they're there. They show up. They assist. Even with the nieces and nephews, even our friends, help out with them as well. This is just the type of community we have. I could not imagine having a father like Marcus to at any moment be able to go out into the city and know that your father is known as Mr. Nasty. To know that girls your same age have been taken advantage of, been recorded, that your father has put his hands on these girls. Now, my mother has never, ever dealt with cheating with my father. And I know that is rare for a lot of women. My mother has never had that issue, and my father is an attractive man. To know that your father left your mother and then call homeless people, streetwalkers, reform their girlfriend. Just imagine. I could not imagine, even to the point that I have had my brother-in-laws and even men that I have dated to say to me and my sisters that I would never be able to live up to your father's reputation. I bet there are a lot of men who would say they would to Marcus' daughters that they would never want to live up to this man's reputation. To know that you can't even have your own friends around your father because of what he may or may not do. Just imagine. I mean, on this Sunday when you're supposed to be spending time with your parents, friends, whatever, I bet there's like a fly on the wall. I bet there's a lot of stuff that's not being addressed right now. I bet you right now those kids are so freaking nervous. As a single woman, my father is my emergency contact. And these girls have to look at their father and say, he is the emergency. Just imagine. I guess you know what? And the crazy thing is my life has not always been easy. And a lot of things that were discussed on Troy's about, Marcus's upbringing. I've experienced a lot of stuff. Like I said, me and Marcus, we both came up in the same area. We both are originally from the north. A lot of his story is similar to mine. Just growing up in this community, you're going to be, if there's not a watchful eye, you're going to find yourself in a lot of situations, a lot of unsafe situations. So any and everything can happen. And you might end up in therapy for years of your life. So a lot of his story, his upbringing, is a lot like mine. But somehow, me having a decent, faithful father, a trustworthy father, a father that any woman or girl can be around and feel safe and even call him their daddy, is the difference. I can just imagine what type of trauma his daughters are going to deal with. If they're not going through counseling now, I promise you when they go off to college, there's going to be some serious counseling that is going to need to be had. And I don't care what he thinks that he is keeping his daughters from. Children watch their parents' actions, not necessarily what they say. And a lot of times you end up as a woman getting with a man similar to your father. Just imagine. So on this Sunday, I am just so blessed to have the father that I have. To know that when I used to go in my father's briefcase, it was for me to take his money. But unfortunately, when Marcus kids might go in their dad's briefcase, they may find some illegal shit, okay? That's it. That's all. Y'all have a blessed Sunday. Ciao.